I'm here today with baseball legend John Smoltz. He really needs no real introduction other than that. Yeah, the list of your achievements goes on and on. But you know, when you think about Cy Young winner, World Series champ, a 21-year Major League career, just announced that the Braves are going to retire your jersey this summer. Most people don't think of failure,
right?
And yet that's kind of a central theme to your book, not being afraid to fail. Why is that such a theme in your book, and it's also a theme in many of your speeches?
Well, I think the irony of what I did, meaning playing baseball, is a game who failed the least was the most successful. But it's a game of failure. I mean, the guy who hits 300 is thought of great. He's failed 7 out of 10 times. I also think that athletes in general are put on such a high pedestal that there's a perception that everything comes easy, or that, you know, the talent outweighs everything else in the formula. For me and my journey, failure is a great motivator to become better. It can be, for some people, the end. It can be, it could kill dreams. It could do things that the world says statistically, here's why you won't do it, here's the reasons, and it's so overwhelmingly, I want to encourage people, through failure, actually, in my book, to experience greatness. And I have experienced more failure than people would ever know. And I don't wish it upon anybody, but having gone through it, I realize the value of it. And I use this mental picture of a ladder that you're trying to climb, whatever it is, corporately, in the business world, and be a teacher, the best of whatever you can be. Those rungs on the ladder have become certain points in my life through failure that have allowed me to climb another rung, to get to the top, because I don't know any other form of life where you are trying to be great. Everyone's trying to chop you down. And certain failures can really be a great pivotal point in a lot of people's lives to be great.
Well, you certainly have those steps on the ladder, and you can see throughout the book that you just keep going, and no matter what setback is, you just keep reaching for the next rung. I look at it and I think about chapter 1, and the title, which I love, is Why Not? I mean, you're really talking about, after all this great career, so many people are saying, you know, why would you keep going? Why do you keep going? And you say, why not chase what some see as impossible? Why not believe in yourself? Why not dare to be great? Where did you get that attitude?
You know, it's a great question. Back home, when I grew up in my family, mom and dad were accordion teachers. They were very hard workers. They set the tone for what typically would be a safe environment, a great home value system of character. I guess I've always had the desire to be something and be somebody, and I've been self-taught. And I didn't have the foreknowledge of a lot of advice in one area or another, because I was supposed to be a musician. And it was free, it was freeing for me to be my own person. And I went after it as hard and as in-depth as anybody you could go after it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned. I never caved in to peer pressure. I never gave in to statistics. I never gave in to, you know, this would be much more fun to do. And I wouldn't trade anything to do it. I mean, I wouldn't do anything different. And I'm trying to put it in the book.
Well, that's great. And clearly, you know, with all your world tour and all the cities you're in, you may not even realize you're in Nashville at the moment. But if you know, I know you play the accordion. There are several studios, I'm sure, that would line up for you to go visit. Well, I want to switch to, you've had lots of different physical issues that you've overcome throughout the years. Anyone subjecting their body to that for that many years. But, you know, physically you had this kind of natural looseness in your joints. You could cock your elbow and your shoulder back. But you overcame injuries, you overcame pain, and kind of kept going, kind of in that ladder analogy. One injury or issue that happened to you that I didn't realize until I read the book was about your thumb.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it'd be interesting to take us there. What was that like? The doctor saying, look what's in there.
It was the worst. I mean, for something that was so simple, for something that bothered me as I threw a baseball in my latter part of my career, you know, when you have an elbow and shoulder problem, it's bigger than your thumb. And when they cut the thumb open, I never envisioned what was going to happen. First of all, I was a little nervous taking the nail off. So they only took half the nail off. And then everything that could go wrong went wrong. 5 surgeries later, 4, 7, many opportunities to try to figure out why the nail was growing the wrong way. Long story short, it was the most painful injury I've ever had, with the nerve endings in the thumb. And oh, by the way, I was learning a new position. I was going to become a closer. Wasn't ready, didn't get enough innings in, got into the first part of the season, stunk, but I knew why, and everyone else didn't. And I think those moments of just knowing your own issues and dealing with it and persevering makes the ride, or at least getting to the other side, that much more enjoyable. It would have been easy for me to say, I'm not very good because my thumb hurts or my thumb is not a lot. You know, those would have been really legitimate things, but I chose to go about it and persevere. I dug a huge hole. My first game as a closer, I gave up 8 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Every goal I had for that year was shot. And I just went into rally mode. I said, you can make the best out of what has happened. And 55 saves later was an absolute miracle.
Well, I want to talk about that for a second for our baseball enthusiasts. You have this great analogy, the difference between starting and closing, using your drive home from work. Can you share that?
Yeah, I mean, people think throwing a baseball is throwing a baseball, and whatever position you're in as a pitcher, what's the difference? There's a huge difference. There's an emotional difference. There's an adrenaline difference. But if you literally got in your car and did all the things that you normally do to go to work, and for the most part abide by the speed limit, that's starting. That's structure. That you know where you're going. You might have to take an alternate route every once in a while to avoid traffic. But you know where you're going. If you got in a dragster and you absolutely, it only has one speed and it's pedal to the floor, that's closing. It's straight, all out, all or nothing. You're either getting there or you're not. And, people who have never been in that position to do that every single night that they're in the game, there's a lot to be said for the mental toughness that it takes. I always knew that the mental part of the closing was something I was going to love, but I never knew that it was going to be such an on-job training. I mean, I had to learn things is night and day compared to starting.
Just never imagined. Well, you also mentioned in the book that you made it a habit in life to surround yourself with people who don't just tell you what you want to hear. And it's another point that I think transcends a sport, but really to all things, to be successful. How do you know even if you're surrounded by the right people?
Well, I think based on the investment of time with them and their heart. And I know enough people that are going to be yes people, that are going to just say the things to stay within the circle or confines of what you can give them. But this was not the group that I had. From my Bible study to my agents to people that I trusted would basically say, no, John, that is not a good reason, or this is what I think. That allowed me to not just react to emotional situations. I think in time, emotions can be good, but they can be awfully bad if acted upon and not flushed out. And I think there's times, and I talk about in the book, I emotionally retired. I'm glad I never gave into that emotion, and I allowed the time that it took to flush it and talk to people so that they would tell me things that back to being grounded, I would go, oh, I'm better off hearing that than if I just went to the people that I know would say, you're right, you should quit, this is awful, or whatever system or injustice that might happen that you feel like you need to be righteous about.
We all need those groups. It definitely helps us. I want to turn to something completely different. Extreme Makeover Edition. This is the John Smoltz complete makeover of the Braves bullpen.
Yeah.
And you paid for it out of your own money, from what I saw.
I should have shopped it around, though. It was expensive.
They're still benefiting from that. But I want to talk about that because it applies for the team's performance. It's still there today, but also the importance of your surroundings
Right.
and culture. What importance do you think work surroundings have on performance and culture?
Well, I think, first of all, I have this feeling that no matter what they are, bad, good, or indifferent, you can make them better by the fact that, I always wanted to make my surroundings, let's not talk about the physical things that I did, but the surroundings of being with people, a better place, a more enjoyable place, pushing people, that same rallying effect. But from the physical standpoint, I knew my personality. I knew if I could change it the way I would like it, and it would work within the rules of everybody having to be okay with it, and they were once they heard I was footing the bill, that changed everything for me. That gave me a comfort level of a new job, a new arena, and I'm not suggesting that every time there's change you find ways to make it perfect for you, but in this case, this was going to be what my new job at home was going to be like, and it flourished. We flourished. The bullpen flourished. It was great. It was enjoyable, and at the forefront, it was going to be these guys are going to fail because they're doing something that's a little bit different. And on the flip side, nothing could be further from the truth. It actually worked. And I talk about a lot of knowing the person inside of you that wants to get out and do this or wants to be here, and having that fine line between that person and what you could or should be doing is an interesting dynamic that not everybody can really handle. And I talk about in the book where, let's just say that beast within is a golfer in me, is telling me, go for everything, go for this shot, go for that. Well, in some cases it's good, but in most cases it's not. And really understanding the balance between that aggressive guy, conservative guy, and in the middle really helps define who you can be. And the only way to find that out is to go through some of the experiences that maybe make you feel uncomfortable, get you outside of that comfort zone. And you got to try things to know if they're going to work or not.
Push outside your comfort zone. Well, you're known for your unbelievable competitiveness,
right.
Not just baseball, but there's lots of stories out there about golf too. No matter what it is, you'll be there. But you're also known, and it's really throughout your book, is your faith.
Right.
It's so important to you. You even helped found a Christian school outside of Atlanta, and I think you were chairman or something
Yes.
of that school. How has that played a role for you in your life?
Well, perspective's everything, and I think we all tend to find the things that were filling the void when you're going through it, whether it be the athletic statistics, fame, money. All those things are great, but they don't fill the void. And my faith became essential in '95. I always felt like I was right there, but I never understood what to really trust and how to really put my faith into action. Well, '95 I was able to do that and really understand that walking relationship with God. And then, of course, these things that are outside of the game that I've been afforded to do based on the celebrityism that was given to me for playing baseball. I want to make a difference in my community. I want to certainly serve in different ways through charities. But this school was not something that I had a plan. This is something I think God put on my heart, and hopefully I followed it to a T and pursued it with all the ambition and desire and passion that I have, because in and of it myself, I would have given up a long time ago. There's just no way, with all the hurdles that we've had to overcome, that if it was under my own flesh to do this, I'd have given up a long time ago. Yeah, so this journey and everything that I've done away from the game, I hope I'm being obedient in some of the things that God has laid on my heart, because that's the only evidence that I have to know why, when, or how some of these things happened.
Well, I want to end with this. There's a great quote. I want to just read a little section here to you, because it speaks of your humility, but it also talks about success. It says, "I think it's pretty clear that my career wasn't all about natural talent. I wasn't sprinkled with any magic dust." I can confirm that.
Yeah, that's right.
I wasn't the fastest or the strongest or even the smartest, but I would argue that whatever I lacked in sheer talent, I made up for along the way with tenacity and perseverance. A lot of my success was achieved by constantly learning, adapting, and overcoming obstacles. I think that's a great summation of this book, in that you talk about all the obstacles that you had, whether it was your faith, the skill, but really it kind of spoke that it wasn't just your physical
Right.
abilities, which clearly you have the physicality, but also your mental toughness. And it seems to me it's such a major success point. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I do. I think had I not done or experienced any of those challenges and changes, meaning arm angle changes, position changes, pitching through pain, if I'd have played it safe, I'd have been okay. I wouldn't have been great. I'd have been very good. I just would not have reached the depths that I did in my career. Because if I'd have played it safe, I wouldn't have pitched hurt. I would have had surgeries that probably cost me more time. And I would have just been the kind of teammate that when I was healthy, things were good, but when it wasn't, when it was rough and it got tough, I disappeared. Those things allowed me to really reach the depths of what I always believed I could be. And it wasn't just pure physical talent. It wasn't just fate or timing. It was a combination of saying, I'm going to go after it as hard as I can, within reality of what it takes to be that kind of person, learn, expose myself to all kinds of different areas. And I think once that's all said and done, if I didn't achieve all my goals, I could put my head on the pillow and know I experienced and exhausted all options. I think the danger in it, in what we do in life, is we can surround ourselves with enough people to be right in the middle, not at the bottom, not at the top, and be okay. I always want to push everybody to try and get to the top. And those people at the bottom are going to stay there because naturally that's where they feel the best, or they feel that woe is me syndrome. And I really hope that the book pushes people more upward to whatever level they feel like they were at and are comfortable. And I just love the thought of outside your comfort zone, you're going to experience tension. Tension is going to create movement. Movement towards something or away from something. And that movement and that outside the comfort zone has allowed me to experience things that I would have never experienced. And I try to give a roadmap, if you will, into my life. And I hope people can see that vulnerability and honesty of, I could have, at the surface, just really played it safe. And even in the book, and talked about a lot of things that maybe not were in depth as they were.
Well, this book and that few minutes was probably one of the most compact success seminars that I've ever heard. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
It is all in there. We appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.